Europe is bringing back the drone-killing tank, the Skyranger. Well, technically it's a mobile, short-range air defense system mounted on armored vehicles like Boxer, Pander, Lynx, and Piranha. But drone-killing tank is cooler, and it makes defense procurement people visibly uncomfortable, which is always a bonus. At Eurosatory 2026 in Paris last week, Rheinmetall showed the Skyranger 30 on the Lynx KF-41. That sentence sounds like a catalog entry until you understand what it represents. Europe is trying to fix one of the most embarrassing gaps in modern Western armies: the ability to protect moving troops from drones, loitering munitions, helicopters, cruise missiles, and whatever angry flying equipment Russia bought from Iran this week. And the fix is a programmable cannon that puts a tiny metal thunderstorm directly into the drone's flight path. Hey friends, I'm Wes O'Donnell, defense journalist and YouTuber? Creator? I don't even know what to call it. I stand here and say words, and sometimes people listen. Some weapons need a 12-minute explanation. Skyranger needs about 4 seconds of footage and the phrase airburst ammunition. Here's the system. At its core is a 30mm by 173 KCE revolver cannon with an effective range up to 3,000 meters and a firing rate of 1,200 rounds per minute. The gun is mounted in a turret that sits on armored vehicles across Rheinmetall's platform family, wheeled, tracked, or truck-mounted, depending on the customer. The cannon fires ahead rounds, programmable airburst ammunition that detonates at a calculated point ahead of an incoming target and releases a cloud of sub-projectiles into its flight path. Now, the last time I showed a Rheinmetall video of how ahead ammo works, the company copyright claimed the video, so I had to delete that section entirely to stay monetized. So this time, I drew you a picture. 4 of them, actually. Okay, so first, gun shoots the shell. Okay. Shell gets a timer. Awesome. Yes, I know. I am an amazing artist. Boom. Little bits. Cool. And then finally, drone gets bonked. Owie. That's how ahead ammo works. Rheinmetall says this gives the system an extremely high probability of hit against micro drones. And here's why that's a big deal. You don't need a direct hit. You don't need to swat the drone out of the air like a baseball. You just need to put a very bad patch of sky where the drone is about to be. The drone flies through. This is the same ammo used on the Skynex, which is one of my favorite Rheinmetall anti-drone systems. Beyond the gun, the turret integrates a search radar and electro-optical sensors for 360-degree surveillance and target tracking, allowing it to detect, classify, and engage threats autonomously or as a node in a larger networked air defense system. And for targets the cannon can't efficiently handle at range, well, then the turret can accommodate short-range air defense missiles with options including Stinger, Mistral, and Chiron, depending on the customer's existing inventory. So a gun without sensors is just a loud guess. Sensors without a gun are a very accurate warning system that something bad is inbound. Skyranger puts both on the same platform, with legs fast enough to keep up with the formation. Europe didn't forget that air defense existed, it just spent 3 decades assuming someone else would handle the low-altitude murder cloud. After the Cold War, Western armies reduced or retired mobile short-range air defense systems because the logic of the moment made it feel reasonable. The Soviet Union collapsed. It's the end of history. Wah, 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 wah. Russia is back. NATO expected air superiority in a future conflict. Expeditionary wars in Iraq and Afghanistan punished a lot of things, but not the absence of mobile gun-based drone defense because the adversary wasn't filling the sky with loitering munitions. And high-end systems like Patriot and NASAMS covered the strategic picture well enough that the close-in layer felt redundant. Then Ukraine happened, and Ukraine showed in real time and at full scale what modern land forces now face. Every vehicle can be watched, every artillery position can be spotted by a drone that costs less than a good laptop, every logistics route can be hunted. FPVs kill armored vehicles. Loitering munitions wait patiently over a position and strike when the crew member opens a hatch. Shaheds attack in rear areas in saturation waves. Cruise missiles fly low. Helicopters pop up to fire from standoff range. And all of this is happening simultaneously from multiple directions at prices that favor the attacker in both Ukraine and the Gulf. Mobile forces need mobile air defense again. The gap Europe created by neglect now has a price tag on it, and that price tag is being paid in Ukrainian cities and infrastructure every single night. The Skyranger is what happens when Europe looks at that bill and decides to start paying for the solution. If you've been watching this channel through the war, you know the Gepard. Ukraine made the Gepard famous again. The old twin 35mm German Cold War air defense vehicle became one of Ukraine's most valued systems precisely because it does what the high-end systems can't afford to do. SWAT cheap drones with a gun instead of burning expensive missiles on targets that cost less than a restaurant dinner. Gun-based, radar-guided, mobile, and capable of operating without waiting for a Patriot fire control solution. Ukraine dragged it back from retirement, and the Gepard delivered. Skyranger sits in that lineage. It is the modern answer to the same basic problem: protect forces from low-altitude threats with a mobile gun platform. But it's not simply a new Gepard, it's modular. It can mount different missiles for different customers. It can sit on tractor-wheeled platforms. It integrates with digital networks in ways Gepard was never designed for. It uses sensors and fire control architecture built from the start for a drone-heavy battlefield rather than retrofitted to one. Gepard was the Cold War veteran Ukraine dragged back into the fight. Skyranger is the younger replacement that actually read the drone war memo before it was written in blood. And here's where this stops being a Rheinmetall trade show story. 6 countries have either ordered or are actively moving towards Skyranger 30, and the numbers are worth spelling out. Germany ordered 19 Skyranger 30 systems on Boxer 8x8 vehicles under a 595 million euro contract with options for 30 more. And the Bundeswehr's long-range requirement runs up to 600 systems total. Austria ordered 36 systems on Pandur Evo 6x6 vehicles with deliveries beginning this year. The Netherlands signed for systems on their ACSV G5 chassis in a deal worth hundreds of millions of euros in December of 2025. Denmark ordered 16 systems on Piranha 5 platforms. Hungary is getting 18 on Lynx KF-41 with Mistral missile integration. And Romania ordered the Skyranger 35 variant on Lynx as part of a historic 5.7 billion euro defense modernization package. That's Germany, Austria, the Netherlands, Denmark, Hungary, and Romania, all converging on the same turret family across different platforms and different missile packages. Europe loves defense cooperation right up until everyone insists on buying a different vehicle, a different radio, or a different missile, and a different coffee machine. Skyranger may be one of the rare cases where the continent starts converging around a common answer, even if each country just mounts it on something different. Now the Ukraine connection is the piece most people are missing. Ukraine chose the Lynx KF-41 as its IFE. We just talked about that in my last video. Well, they tested a Hungarian-built prototype in late 2024 and is building a domestic Lynx factory under a German-Ukrainian agreement. The Skyranger 30 Lynx variant is what Rheinmetall is showing at Eurosatory right now. The platform pipeline and the air defense system are already connected. What's not yet confirmed is a formal Skyranger contract for Ukraine, but the industrial foundation is there in a way that didn't exist a year ago. Now, the production reality, Rheinmetall has confirmed a ramp toward 200 turrets per year. That's meaningful, but finite against the total European requirement that, across all current and potential customers, runs into the hundreds of systems. The Bundeswehr alone wants up to 600. Europe has a lot of catching up to do, and the production capacity is the constraint that doesn't get solved by a trade show announcement. Training pipelines take time. Ammunition supply chains for ahead rounds need to scale alongside the platforms. Each country's missile integration is different. And the question none of the brochures answer is the hardest one. How does Skyranger perform under sustained mass drone attack in real battlefield clutter, when the system is operating continuously, taking fire, and needing maintenance while the drone swarm keeps coming? Okay, one more thing. Skyranger kills drones. That does not mean drones will politely stop trying to kill Skyranger. In Ukraine, anything that shoots gets hunted. A Skyranger that emits radar energy, fires a cannon, and sits in a known defensive position will get Lancet attention. Survivability under counter battery and loitering munition pressure is the question that gets answered in the field, not at Eurosatory, because the story behind the hardware is the one that actually matters. For 30 years, air defense was something Western militaries placed behind the force. Batteries covering airports, ports, command nodes, strategic assets, protected zones defined in advance. Well, the formation moved. The air defenses stayed put and covered what it covered. Ukraine has proved that model is incomplete. The front is everywhere. The threat comes from every altitude and every direction simultaneously. The formation needs its own air defense layer that moves when it moves, covers what it's covering right now, and doesn't require a radio callback to a fixed site to engage. Well, Skyranger is the industrial expression of that lesson. Not a dome over Ukraine, not a system parked 50 miles back drinking coffee, a dangerous umbrella over whatever patch of battlefield it's assigned to protect. Moving when the convoy moves, engaging when the radar sees, and making the drone pilot's afternoon significantly less fulfilling. Skyranger is popular at trade shows because it looks like what it does. Radar on top, big gun out front, armored vehicle underneath, 4 seconds of footage, and the phrase, airburst ammunition. But its real importance isn't the gun. It's the admission behind the gun. Europe needs mobile short-range air defense again. Drones made the gap impossible to ignore. Ukraine proved the consequences of ignoring it, and Rheinmetall is now trying to turn that lesson into production numbers and a European standard before the next war writes the exam questions. Everyone wants the drone killer. The hard part is building enough of them before the drones start treating your brigade like a buffet. Europe is trying, the orders are signed, the factories are ramping, the Lynx is being built in Ukraine. The only question left is whether the production line moves faster than the threat. That is it for today, my friends. If you want to stay with the mobile air defense story as it develops across Ukraine and into NATO, hit subscribe. It's the best free way to support what I do here. I personally think my drawings were pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. Come on. I'll track Skyranger as the European orders move toward delivery, and as the Ukraine connection becomes clearer. Membership is about $3 a month, and it keeps the research going. The longer reads are over on Substack, QR code on the screen, or just wesodonnell.com. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.